Hi, I'm Mia, and I am for closing Guantanamo Bay. I think there's a lot of reasons we should close Guantanamo Bay. I think our number one reason should be a moral reason. We're human beings, we should not be treating these men this way. They're men, they're people, they have emotions, they have feelings, everything like we do. So when you hear things like they talk about how the men will throw feces, urine, and sperm at the guards, you have to believe that there's some sort of reason as to why they're doing this. It's not just they're not just going to be assholes. They're probably trying to get a point across to these men that you want to be treated like humans, so do we. Like, if you don't do this, we won't throw sperm at you. Like, it's as simple as that. So, for closing Guantanamo Bay, we should look into, first off, trying these men, not just as war criminals, but also we should look into why they were held captive in the first place. Like, you hear about men who were captured for mistaken identity and are still being held in this prison, who haven't been let go and are still undergoing the same things that the other detainees, the ones who actually did do things, are being kept there for. Since the Obama administration stepped in about 8 years ago, it has changed a lot. They discontinued waterboarding and forms of torture and things like that. And then another reason we need to look at this is we're not just physically torturing these men, we are mentally torturing these men by doing this. And then in some cases, they're not only attacking the men themselves, but their religion, and especially the more conservative men. There are stories that you hear about the female nurses would reach their hands down their pants and throw what was supposed to look like menstrual blood on the more conservative men, causing them to freak out and then hence be tortured because of their spastic behavior. And you can't blame them for it's against their religion to want believe in those things, to see them, to even be touched by them. Like, that's pretty gross. I'm a woman and I wouldn't want another woman throwing those things on me. It's gross. But we can't keep these men here forever. They need to be tried in a normal court. There's men who've done worse things in the world than just conspire to do things. Like, I get that they're supposed to be the worst of the worst in the world, and that we house the man who choreographed the 9/11 attacks there. He needs to be tried and persecuted, not just be held in prison. I'm not one for the death penalty, but he did kill thousands of people in the process of 9/11, and he did cause us to start our war on terror. So, yeah, he should be tried for that and just put to death or something. But the rest of the men that are still in Guantanamo Bay need to have a proper trial. They're humans, they're entitled to it. They have the basic human rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is something we have to acknowledge in the world today. We can't just hold these men there because we don't know what else to do with them. And I don't think we should be listening to our President Trump about just putting these more men into this prison, because all it's going to do is encourage men to do these acts. Like, you see the Al Jazeera men marching their prisoners of wars along in the Guantanamo Bay like clothes, the orange jumpsuits with the black bags over the heads, and then executing them and videotaping it. It is, while most people ignore that it's a form of encouragement for these men, it does seem to be that exactly. Like, we're inviting terror by opening this prison and keeping these men here. And people may be worried that if we move them back into the United States, it would cause more terror towards the states itself. But I don't believe it would. I think if they were going to cause terror here, they're going to do it regardless whether or not their friends are here. These men signed up for this. Like, they're not afraid to hurt us just because their friends are here. Like, that's not the point. But I'm rambling. We do need to close this prison. They don't even call them prisoners. They don't call them inmates. They call them detainees. They're trying to reduce them to the lowest form of human standards, and that's not right. They are men. They're men who've made their choices in their life. They have been suffering in this prison for decades, and we need to figure out something else to do with them besides sitting them there. And then people with that argument will bring up the topic that we're spending $400 million a year to keep these men in a different country. And that's besides just paying for the land that we rent from Cuba. It's not like it was American soil. We rent it from the country of Cuba we bought this land before Fidel Castro took over Cuba. So it's been a long time that we've owned this land. I think it's time we just move our base out, move the men out themselves, and come back into the States. It is kind of a waste of military resources to have all this Navy just sitting in Cuba just to watch these men when they could be out doing something different, fighting the war on North Korea and dealing with that whole drama, and just bring these men back and put them in the maximum security prisons that we have here. We have adequate facilities. It's just the men would have to adjust to getting a $2 meal as opposed to a $50 meal and not being able to play Xbox. But what difference does that make? They still need to be released from this prison and moved into or sent to other countries. They don't need to be held in Guantanamo Bay. It's a pointless prison to be having open. I don't understand why it's been open after all these years, but with the Obama plan, we have now like a structure that we can go off of to do this. We can send them to other countries. We can move them here. They can be tried and executed. Whatever works for them. Like they can't just sit there for the rest of their lives because it's a waste on our economy. It's not fair to them that they don't, like, especially the men that have been tried and have been proven innocent. It's not fair to them that they're just stuck there. So I think what we need to do is we need to take the Obama plan and we need to actually move forward with it instead of just letting these men sit and wallow for years and years to come. Thank you.